Dude, for example, you were talking about not having overdubbing in the live performance. You take a really seasoned band today, everyone with a huge background, you do a live performance, but there's overdubbing, right, man? You guys aren't crazy enough to not change anything.
So indeed, the humans, we only edited.
There's no overdubbing there, man.
No, what we did was go ahead. If you want to call it overdubbing, it was like this. Since we recorded several shows, a ton of shows. Yeah, it happens, right? It happens. Sometimes this happened to me. There was a song where I messed up the lyrics. So since we had a bunch of shows recorded, got it. Used it. It was a part. And actually, I didn't remember. It didn't work out because the sound was very different. I repeated that same sentence somewhere else. So you took that little piece and put it there. I got it. But you can see how natural it is, really. You can tell there's a lot of ambiance.
But it became very friendly. It got loud.
Because that's the problem with overdubbing. When you start fixing everything, it hits the ambiance.
Yeah, then you lose it.
Then it turns into those DVDs that people make that look like they're in the studio, right? Dry, but why is it dry? Because many times the ambiance, the guy is playing one thing, and in the ambiance, something else is playing. Then it keeps hitting. And ours, we said, no, man. We want to, the ambiance, especially because this movie even played in theaters, right?
I think I remember, right?
Because it wasn't just in 2022. It played at the Cinemark.
It played in Rio. I also remember in New York, there next to the bar shopping.
And that was Marco too, man, because God's Gift was the first Christian band. It passes. No, not in a room, right? That any band can easily and simply rent a room to do their first show there. In our case, it was Cinemark itself that wanted to show in all the theaters in Brazil, everything. Man, it was really cool.
And it's funny that after that, they started showing The Chosen. Seriously. The G3 workshop opened for The Chosen. Season 4 of The Chosen was recently at Cinemark, before eventually going to streaming services.
That's cool, man. And the Cinemark crew, think of a cool crowd, open to making things happen.
What a skinny guy.
Really cool, man. Very.
So, I was amazed because I was watching with my wife the guys on YouTube, and I told her, man, for sure there's the overdome there. Man, yeah. Because I thought there was, because the sound quality is really good. Man,
there's normal editing, right? Editing, we tune a voice there that we messed up. It wasn't a mistake, right? It went out of tune. But overall, it's all about editing. And as I told you, our shows are really, we absolutely record all the shows, all of them. So sometimes it happens that the transmitter fails in a part. Yeah. So we have these backups.
But you guys also did everything with a click.
Always. That's why there's no danger. We play like 30 shows, then everything ends up sounding the same.
Hasverse. So there's a little box there with some stuff.
Didn't get
Avis. With some things.
There is, but it's very little. We use grooves, like the tempo has a groove in that electronic groove. It does. Humans have that groove, the entrance of the groove. But overall, it's more click and effect, right? In general, effect here. This kind of thing.
Okay, I want to ask you, I'm melting. I want to ask you something specific about verses. If there have been any mistakes in your shows, someone leaving the verse. But this show, for those who don't know, is from the Human Band. It's on YouTube. It must have been about 2-3 months since it went up on YouTube. Took a while to get on YouTube, right? Took a while. But it's with Mateus, right? Dude? Yes, which is really cool. Mateus ASATO needs no introduction. But he also brought a cool energy, right? Because he is half the age, yours maybe, right? How old is Mateus? 30? He's 30?
Man, he's 30.
I think Mateus will always look like he's in his 20s with that baby face of his, right? Yeah, you also look like you're in your 20s. Anyway, he brought a cool energy because he's skinny, young, right? Dude, not that you guys aren't relaxed like that, but when you're in your 20s, it's different, right?
Hey, he called us old, but it's all good.
No, but come on, lift the band up, right? Mateus is constantly nodding his head.
Yeah, Mateus is totally on fire. On fire. And man, Mateus is a friend, right? A dear friend for many, many years indeed. So was that fun and enjoyable? Because it's not that professional thing, you know. Let's play professionally. No, it's really among friends. Man, it was really great. And we talk a lot. Mateus, as I said, is a great friend, right? And he has a story with G3. Also, for him, it was like he always says, right. For him, it was something really nice to do.
So, man, yeah, you're a reference for him. He's always made that very clear, even long before that, right? So, there's no little story there that's commercial, right? Man, we're talking about this here. No, he always made it clear and always played a lot of stuff. From the workshop, G32 on social media showed a lot.
And he plays a lot, right? No comments needed. No comments needed. Exactly.
Before we start talking about Mateus, let's take the focus off Juninho. But let's go, Juninho. I wanted to know the following, man. This thing of playing with VS, something went wrong there. On this tour, for example, humans...
Oh, nothing. Because we depend very little on VS. I remembered something happened. Luffy, he set it up, he clicked on that one. It's a function whose name I can't remember in Reaper, right? Because I use Logic. But it goes into a loop. So he had marked a piece of humans from the riff of humans to send the VS to the PA. So it kept looping. Meanwhile, our technician, who is Rossi, was sending the VS to the PA, and he forgot. So when the VS was coming in, it came in at that part and went into the loop.
And
he just turned it off and we kept going. Got it.
all right.
But that's it. That was the most that happened. Because since we don't have anything in the VS that's, let's say, compromising, right? Like a bunch of voices come in the middle of nowhere. We don't have that. So if something goes wrong, you just turn it off and that's it.
And you guys also created a structure there, man, for engineering, for sound, that we can hear. This movie is a little over 2 hours long. It seems like it's the same show recorded under the same circumstances. There aren't different levels between one track and another, which are from different shows. Did you notice that too?
But one is one show.
That one is just one show.
That one is the show. It's all there, divided. And it has takes from other shows.
Yeah, so that's why I got confused. Clips from other shows.
There are several shows.
I got it.
So we inserted it, but the whole show is from just one place.
That makes sense. In that, I'm not crazy. So, because I said, my brother, you can't tell it's a show. Because there will be some difference. It's the same table. It's all the same. But it won't be the same from one show to another.
Oh, Mateus is good. It's like this. The EQ is the same. The compression is the same. The master is the same.
No, there's no difference at all between the songs. You can see that. It's all the same. I said, wow, these guys really managed to pull off a miracle here between one show and the other, if there was no difference.
Sometimes recording on the same day makes a difference, right? It's the same show, folks. Exactly. Not exactly the same. It's all the same because it's the same show. And even so, we have to adjust, right? It was Dagama, Adriano Daga, who did the mix. You still have to always equalize because each song has its own vibe, right? Each song has its own intensity.
But which show did you guys choose? You recorded several, chose one.
São Paulo.
But I already knew it was going to be this show.
We already knew because then there's the whole issue of cameras, right? The video people, just like Nada Indie, which was last year's tour, we recorded in BH. Yeah.
I got it. Now you guys, after the war, the new tour, you guys are going to do something similar regarding that.
Possibly. Or we're just going to do a live. In the last show, we streamed live. Or we will record it like we did with all the others. We're still deciding. Last year, we recorded and also did a live stream in São Paulo because we have a social project called Villa G3 over in Mozambique, together with Tarek. And we are going to deliver 20 houses. On the last tour, we delivered 10 from scratch. So we buy the land, build a house from scratch. And this tour, now we are going to build the other 10 houses.
This guy has that habit.
So that's why we raise funds. There are the tickets, right, guys? So if you can go to the show, buy the ticket for Villa, know that 100% of that goes to Villa G3. And we generate a lot of things, right? We raised it last year. Thank God, a very good amount. We sent it over there. Half is done, but there's still the other half to go.
And those 10 houses you delivered, it's like if you make a little condo, something like that.
It's a village.
It's a village.
It's a village, literally. And it's not just a house, folks. We deliver We give dignity to people because I always say God indeed manifests himself in many ways. Right. And many times it's often through people who are indeed willing to do what he actually wants, that we become the embrace of God, become the care of God. Because when Jesus says, I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink, and the disciples asked, but when, Lord? When you gave one of my little ones to me, you gave to me, you gave. So what happens when we have the opportunity to not just offer a brick and cement, a pile of concrete? No, more dignity, a place for the person, you are giving an opportunity for the person. First of all, see, man, God's love literally exists and he is reaching me. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you can just give a perspective on life that many times only works to figure out what they're going to eat that day.
I think it was Billy Graham who said that you don't preach the gospel to someone who's hungry, empty. Because it doesn't help if the person is starving, right? You have to give dignity to the person, and then it makes sense to stop now and talk about other things, right?
In fact, a lot of people even asked, right? Why don't you do it in Brazil? Right? There's so much. It's one of the projects we have. We've not finished Villa G3. If we had finished our next project, we would want to work with some partners up in the Northeast too. And the whole point is what I always say. There's a lot to be done. There are a lot of people who need it. And in that, we need to understand what God is calling us to do. And it doesn't take much. We are a band. So you can do it as an individual, as a legal entity. You can do it as a company, like many churches, right? We are members of the church. I know that Fragale, the pastor, also has an incredible job. So there are many serious churches, many churches that have this vision. Dude, we need to take action. We need to take action.